Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. We're going to be talking about NXT 2.0, NXT, whatever you want to call it, from January the 25th, 2022. All right. The only real news, I guess, is the absolute confusion that Dave Meltzer put out there about Shawn Michaels. Now, I found this to be quite humorous. So, Dave Meltzer does his Wrestling Observer Newsletter Radio, where he's talking about NXT 2.0, he's talking about Shawn Michaels, and he's talking about when they got rid of all the Triple H's guys. They didn't really get rid of all the Triple H's guys, because Shawn is still there, and Shawn is a Triple H guy, and they're very high on him right now. And NXT essentially Shawn's baby currently. Well, there's parts of that is true. Shawn has said himself that he's pretty much been running NXT since Triple H went down with his heart thing. He was also helping before Triple H went down with his heart thing. But it continues this narrative that Triple H's guys all got fired, when it was kind of like everybody who worked in NXT was Triple H's guys, because Triple H put everybody in place. And as far as I know, most of the people who are still in place were hired by Triple H. You know, I haven't heard of anybody being replacing anybody. It was more like a streamlining than anything. But I'm kind of tired of arguing about the structure of NXT. It really doesn't make much sense. You know, I can't believe they're still doing this. It's been like It's been 4 or 5 months, and we're still arguing about the structure of NXT and who's running what and what's going on. And it's just, I don't get it. Haven't we got all the blood out of that turnip? It's time to move on, don't you think? And Shawn's been running NXT UK for the longest, and nobody talks about NXT UK, which is really sad, because it's usually pretty good. You know, they had a main event, A-Kid versus Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup, that I thought was awesome. It was a tremendous match. You know, A-Kid is really killing it over there. You know, maybe I ought to start dedicating parts of this time to NXT UK, rather than trying to make NXT UK its own thing, but sort of poking out parts of NXT, maybe the end. Maybe I'll talk about NXT UK at the end if I can remember what took place. I'm not going to take notes on it, because that would destroy my enjoyment of it. But that's all. There's no real NXT news. Apparently, I did watch Ciampa and Dunn on Main Event. Tell me I was bored I'm telling you I was bored without saying I was bored, right? I definitely watched too much wrestling if I watched Main Event. I didn't watch all of it, though. I just kind of wanted to see how they performed and whether it was any different. And outside of the fan reaction, it wasn't much difference between Dunn and Ciampa's regular NXT work. The crowd clearly didn't know who they were, and that's pretty obvious. But I watched Ciampa wrestle Akira Tozawa. Match was a little too lengthy for my taste, but I mean, they tried to get Ciampa over, and yes, they did make him dye his beard. Which if you watched NXT, you did see that. And I watched Pete Dunne wrestle T-Bar, and I thought that match was pretty fun. And Pete Dunne won with a small package, I believe it was. So wasn't too bad. He didn't bury these guys completely. I heard there's some more guys doing some more stuff, and there's LA Knight. LA Knight did the promo for the Royal Rumble when he ran into the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and now there's a lot of tickety talk about that's going to be his first feud when he gets called up. Look, I wouldn't buy too much into that. A little peek behind the curtain. I've already recorded my Royal Rumble predictions before this episode, and I forgot to mention LA Knight. So, but you know, LA Knight being on the main roster is very good. You know, it's a great, spot for him. You know, incredible charisma. You know, we already know what LA Knight can do. It's just a matter of him having the time to do it. All right, so let's finally now get into NXT. So MSK started the show being extra cringe, talking about how they debuted in the Dusty Cup, and now thanks to the Shaman Bro, they're focused in order to win the Dusty Cup again. And they did some jokes about touching the cup and all that kind of stuff. It was stupid. So they were wrestling Jacket Time, and I'm gonna tell you this: Ike Manjiro, his theme is the GOAT. I love the theme. Look, I'm an anime dude, so that Ike Manjiro theme really rocks for me. It's very inspirational. It makes me very emotional. You know, But then I kind of didn't like Jiro for a little bit, because he blocked the kick with his jacket. And I was like, you know what? I can't be out here, saying good things about Ikemen Jiro, and he's making me look stupid with all this silly stuff like blocking kicks with his jacket. But at least he took the match seriously, and it was worked very seriously. It wasn't a complete and total comedy show like Jiro's first matches. Like his first early matches in NXT, he was almost complete comedy bullshit. But at least now he's doing serious matches. MSK wins by pinning Kushida. And I continue to not like MSK. And guess what? Nobody else does either because they got booed. And the crowd was chanting for jacket time. So I feel vindicated, unless we're supposed to believe that these evil invaders, these bullies, they're back. And they decided to pick back up on booing MSK. It ain't just me. They suck. And now I find out Nash Carter got painted fingernails. I really don't like them. I got a bone to pick with these guys. The match was fun though. Match was a fun match. No problems. All right. So Zoe Stark isn't ready to return for the Women's Dusty Cup. Told Io Shirai to find a new partner, but Io doesn't want to have a new partner, but wouldn't say it's because she likes Zoe Stark. Before she really got into that, before they really started having that conversation, Tiffany Stratton showed up and says that she cannot wait to defeat Io Shirai tonight, and she discussed her disgust at Zoe Stark's clothing choices. She apparently bought clothes off the rack, which is a mortal sin. So this, of course, takes us to the later match, Io Shirai versus Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton, and they did a good job with her athleticism and her character work here. She was doing a lot of unnecessary screaming, and it seemed like she didn't have much to say. So that was really problematic. But they did an interesting thing here where they had the heel shine, which is not pro wrestling. It's not really, they had Stratton show off her athleticism and then have it frustrate Io Shirai, which is typically what you would do with baby faces. But Sean is just, he's I don't know what's going on with him. I know he's trying to show off his new toys, but come on. This thing about giving the baby faces the numeric advantage in the War Games match, and now we're giving heels to shine. I'm like, I don't know about this. I think the character would have worked a little bit more effectively if, after all of her gymnastics, she still was taken down or arm dragged or whatever by Io Shirai, kind of showing that she still had a lot to learn. But that was kind of the point of this match, Anyway, Stratton loses via moonsault. Didn't hurt her at all because, as they said in the next segment, where Tiffany Stratton was walking and complaining to her daddy about the referee, Wendy Chu says, well, everyone loses to Io. So it's not that big of a deal. And I like how they're getting their first losses out of the way. So they're not building them up as being unbeatable, the new stars. They're beating them fast, beating them pretty quick because I guess it's better to get it out of the way. But they're picking the right people. Like Braun's first loss with Ciampa. I think Tony D'Angelo's first loss with Pete Dunne. Tiffany Stratton's first loss was to Io Shirai. So they're being smart about who is actually beating them. But while also saying, hey, these people are the future. So it's not that not that she lost, it's who she lost to, but it also is about showing what she can do. So Tiffany Stratton didn't lose too much of anything, but I'm guessing she might end up being in the Dusty Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bring in a partner for her so she can do the Dusty Cup thing. But I think if she's in it, she has to win it. So I don't know. I mean, who would you team her up with? I can't really think of anybody. But I think if she's in it, she's got to win it. So, All right, Santos Escobar. This was the A story of the evening. Santos Escobar came out to cut a promo on our boy Brian Breaker. And he said that this promo was funny to me. He talked about Brian Breaker and that every week people make reference to his father and his uncle and their family's poor math skills. And he said, but what bothers him most is how people talk about how good he is. And he said that he comes from a similar upbringing, so he's not impressed or intimidated by Braun Breaker. He goes on to say that what bothers him is that Braun Breaker steals opportunities and that he became NXT champion before he did. And he said, you only been here for a handful of months and you already make me sick. I don't know why that popped me so much, because that was such basic heel pettiness. Of course, Santos Escobar is talking about being second generation. So I guess that's what their feud is going to be about, being second generation. Okay, cool. Braun Breaker came out there, told Santos Escobar he was insecure. Said that his family taught him to handle business a certain way, and Santos' cut him off, said, don't you talk about my family. So Braun was like, all right, whatever. Issue the challenge and I'll accept it. Escobar says, we do things on my time. And he exits the ring. There's a guy, the other two members of Legado del Fantasma to jump in the ring and try to attack Braun Breaker, and he beats them off. So later in the show, Santos Escobar is talking about Braun Breaker. Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, they want to teach young Braun Breaker a lesson. They challenge him to a match and say it must be 2-on-1 because he doesn't have any friends, because that's the way he wants it. This leads us to the final post-show angle where Braun is, for some reason, wearing the belt as he walks to the dreaded NXT parking lot, which something bad was going to happen. So then the truck rolls up, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's about to be bad. And Legado del Fantasma hop out of the truck. And it looks like it's about to be, Braun Breaker's about to be down bad. And then Tommaso Ciampa appears, standing next to Braun Breaker. And Braun Breaker says, now the math adds up. So it's 3-on-2. And I like this. It was a nice angle with Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker as tag team partners. It's a nice little thing here. I thought it would be Zion Quinn, and it still probably will be. There's an opportunity for Zion Quinn, because it is 3 members of Legado del Fantasma. So there's an opportunity for Zion Quinn to come in to even the number game up and give Zion Quinn a nice little rub where he gets to hang out with Ciampa and Braun. That ought to be fun. Like, that whole thing ought to be cool, where Zion Quinn has a personal beef with Legado del Fantasma, and he basically lost the feud because he was outnumbered. Ciampa has infinite respect for Braun and respects the title and everything, so he's got his back. So this is going to be a little bit of fun trios situation for the next couple of weeks. Apparently, Vengeance Day is on February the 15th, which is in 2 weeks or something like that. They have not announced Santos Escobar as the opponent for Braun Breaker. It's entirely likely that it would be a 6-man tag with Braun, Ciampa, and Zion Quinn versus Legado del Fantasma. And they'll just save Escobar and Braun for Stand and Deliver, which would be fine. That's another 2 months away. I guess you could pull that off. That would mean Carmelo Hayes will have to main event Vengeance Day. But, that works for me. Whatever. But I'm liking this feud. I like how Santos Escobar ultimately is just petty jealousy that Braun Breaker won the title before him. Petty jealousy is good enough reason to bust a kid's head open. I like it. All right. So we're Boa and Solo Sikoa. Boa, they did the little video package for Boa where he's talking about impending doom once he masters his new powers. Apparently, he didn't master his new powers because he was defeated by Solo Sikoa. They had a real street fight, a real Falls Count Anywhere match where they actually went backstage and, were ramming each other into that garage door. They really did a lot of work with that garage door. They were utilizing the hell out of that garage door. I didn't really care for the spot where Solo Sikoa locked Boa out because it was kind of cowardly. So then Boa opens the garage door and gets sprayed in the face with a fire extinguisher. WWE sure does love their fire extinguishers, don't they? They really love their fire extinguishers. So Solo Sikoa wins with the Uso splash off the top rope through a table. It looked stiff than a mug. Man, that joint looks stiff than a mug. And I will say this. I got to give NXT credit. They kept the burns on the side of Solo Sikoa's face, which is better than what you can say for the Randy Orton when he got a fireball to the joint. He got a fireball to the mug. There was no burn marks, no nothing going on. They just forgot about it completely and just said, "Forget it. We're not even going to do it." NXT at least stuck to the gimmick, you know. And also, Solo Sikoa had the almost Samoa Joe Umaga, tribal style paint on his face, which I thought was pretty dope too. And this was probably the best Boa match possible. Boa is not very good, so this was as good as it gets when it comes to Boa. So this was fine. Imperium did a promo saying Imperium means pride, it means passion, it means success. Then we get Walter, who says that he's the name that he was known all over the globe, and now he's got a new name. He's gonna let go of the past, and his grandfather introduced him into this great sport, and now his name is Gunther. I don't think anybody's gonna care. I think Finn Balor was right where he said everybody hated Finn at first too. And it's like a lot of people still hate Finn. A lot of people hate the NXT names completely. But I think people will eventually get used to Gunther. It just takes some time. Everybody hates change. But I love this promo. What made it even better is Diamond Mine later in the show, Malcolm Bivens starts talking about how stupid Walter's new name is and said his name should be Dumbass in all caps. Ultimately, Diamond Mine challenged Imperium to a 6-man tag next week. So it's going to be Roderick Strong and the Creed brothers versus Imperium. That sounds fun. That sounds really, really, really fun. It's even better if the Creeds win the Dusty Cup. Considering it's not guaranteed, and maybe Imperium will cost them the Dusty Cup. But I liked it. I liked the Diamond Mine Imperium feud. I mean, the crazy part about that is there was no official turn for Diamond Mine. They just kind of melded into the babyface role. And it's very strange because Ivy Nile is clearly still a heel. And the Creeds are clearly still a heel, but it's almost like Roderick Strong is the fighting from underneath babyface, who is continuously challenging this guy who's twice his size to fights. And it almost makes him seem honorable in comparison, But it's almost like, it's a good feud stylistically too, because it's all about sportsmanship. And this is what Imperium is about. The mat being sacred and Diamond Mine being, prize fighters. And, not really caring about the sacredness of the sport as much as using the sport as a vehicle to make money. I believe this is what Malcolm Bivens said directly. So it's a really good feud from looking at philosophy of wrestling as a vehicle to make money or as a sport that is should be taken seriously. Even though they both do take it seriously, just in their own way. All right, Duke Hudson defeated Guru Raj with the Razor's Edge. Duke Hudson's new look and new aggression is pretty apparent. Dante Chen came out there and says, "I'm giving you the respect you didn't give me by letting you know, here I come." He ran to the ring and summarily got beat up. And Duke Hudson, I think, kicked him or chop blocked him or whatever in his previously injured leg. I was like, wow, good job, Dante. You did an excellent job there, bud. Good job, bud. Persia Parada and Indy Hartwell are focused. They're one step away from winning the tag team titles. And Kaylee Ray came in there and says that tonight we stake our claims on the champions, and their next photo shoot will be without the titles. So with Kaylee Ray, Persia Parada, and Indy Hartwell defeated Toxic Attraction when Persia Parada pinned Gigi Dolan. This was a solid enough match. I didn't have a problem with it. The only issue I had was Kaylee Ray, who clearly was, winning, leaves the ring to get that bat. And why is the bat green? Is there a specific reason why the bat is green? In any event, she chases off Mandy Rose with this bat because reasons. She just don't like Mandy Rose, and now she's going to bash Mandy with a bat. I have no idea why she would want to do that. But since she and Mandy ran off, they left Toxic Attraction, Gigi, and JC by themselves. JC and Indy Hartwell disappeared into the negative zone. I have no idea where they went. And they just left Persia Parada alone with Gigi Dolan, and Gigi got pinned. Not a big deal. It's a good to set Persia Parada and Indy Hartwell as the contenders. So it served its purpose. Speaking of Toxic Attraction, you got Idris Enofe and Malik Blade, who these brothers are funny. Okay, so apparently, part of their Cinderella story is when they win, they're going to ask out Toxic Attraction, and they show clips of them on Instagram being all muscly and oiled up. And Idris Enofe did the peck dance, which was hilarious. Like this is hilarious. They're showing a little bit more personality. They're still the Cinderella team. They probably have no chance of winning, but that's kind of the theme of their characters. Is like they have this dream that they're going to win the Dusty Cup and then ask out Toxic Attraction. And then he's like, you going to ask out Mandy Rose? It's never going to happen. And he's like, it's never going to happen. And they tell the story about how they were never supposed to get this far in the tournament. They were never supposed to beat Legado del Fantasma. They were never supposed to beat these guys, and yada, yada, yada. And kind of has this anything is possible style mentality to it, while at the same time being kind of humorous, thinking that being muscly and everything is what Toxic Attraction wants. They must not have recognized that Mandy dated Otis. I'm talking human dodgeball Otis. I'm talking walking diabetes Otis. I'm talking, that guy. She likes her she likes her guys a little bit more meat on them, I guess. But I'm pretty sure that's not canon anymore. They probably retconned the shit out of that. Like, you know what? She never dated Otis. It never happened. It was a weird time in her life. She was what do chicks say when that stuff happens? I was vulnerable and I had low self-esteem. But I thought it was funny, especially when they started talking about their style on Instagram. I thought that was pretty funny. So they're showing a little bit more personality than they did before, which is good. So speaking of the Dusty Cup, another quarterfinals match, Grizzled Young Veterans defeated Chase University, which was Andre Chase and Bodie Hayward, with the double recoil, which is, the knees to the face, that ricochet. That's his finish. I just call it the recoil because I can't remember what the hell Chris Jericho called it. So the Grizzled Young Veterans won a match, I was stunned by that. But the crowd was really behind Andre Chase and Bodie Hayward. Bodie Hayward is the guy Harland was going to throw off the roof. And after this match, I was really hoping that he had thrown him off that roof. Not just because I don't like him, but because I think that would have been a great introduction to Bodie Hayward, him getting murdered. Like, that would have been great. And he could have came back from the dead or something like that. I mean, don't act like NXT art don't got zombies on it already. Come on, man. So the Grizzled Young Veterans going to go forward. That's not bad. They finally won a match. Praise God. Raquel Gonzalez is pumping iron. Cora Jade comes in there being real annoying. An annoying little sister who wants to be her partner. Raquel Gonzalez said no. Said she needed a partner she can trust. Needs a partner that knows how to get knocked down and get back up. And Cora Jade says that all of that is her. And that she wants to prove herself. And she's about to smack Raquel Gonzalez. And then everybody got getting involved and getting in their business. And Raquel Gonzalez called her Chiquita again and told her not to mess with her. They're going to fight next week. And I'm guessing if Cora Jade wins, she's going to be Raquel Gonzalez's partner. I don't know. How many more of these can we coexist tag teams do we need? That's my thing. Like, why do we need so many of these can we coexist tag teams? Why do we need so many? I forgot something. Let's double back. So after Grizzled Young Veterans beat up on Chase University, Von Wagner made his grand reintroduction, and he beat the hell out of Chase University too. And then this is where Robert Stone says that Von Wagner's suspension is up, and he is now under new management. I was not thrilled about that. Everything that maybe Robert Stone is serious now, because under Triple H's version of NXT, Robert Stone was getting ran over by tanks, getting embarrassed by girls, and it was just absolutely awful. If this version of Robert Stone is going to be better, then I'm all for it. I love that NXT is not scared to use managers. And I love that. I love that they're not scared to have managers. All right, so all of that is fine. I'm not so sure how I feel about Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade wrestling one another before they become a tag team. I get that you want to have Raquel Gonzalez as sort of a gatekeeper who Cora Jade has to prove herself against. Okay, but can't she, maybe do a pick your poison kind of situation where Raquel Gonzalez says, okay, if you can beat this hand-picked opponent that I choose, I'll be your tag team partner. And then she picks somebody who's moderately difficult to beat, not somebody who's impossible to beat, not like Io Shirai or anything like that, but maybe somebody who is moderately tough. Who would be a moderately tough woman in this division? I don't know. And because they fired so many of them, I don't know who's left. But it would be like, you pick this woman who's kind of moderately tough, and maybe Dakota Kai. I think Dakota Kai would probably have been a good opponent. That if Raquel Gonzalez says, if you can beat Dakota Kai, I'll be your partner. And that's the match. Rather than her fighting Raquel Gonzalez directly. Because if Raquel Gonzalez gets pinned by Cora Jade, that would suck. That would really suck. But since I think Raquel Gonzalez is on her way out, and I think a lot of us do, I don't think it'll matter that much anyway. She's just kind of floating around there, waiting for the call up. She's already ripe. She's just sitting on the vine and, yet to be plucked. All right, so Grayson Waller talked about how his star is brighter than ever, and now he's going global. Said that this guy, Sangha, is his new secret service, and that if LA Knight does manage to get around that restraining order, Sangha will meet him first. I'm like, okay, that's fine, that works. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are hanging out with Ollie J, and the first thing that came into my mind is, where is she going with all them titties? Or what on earth is she doing with all these titties? What is going on? That shit woke me up. I was like, wait a minute. And then they had the performance, and she had no charisma. And I was like, oh no. Look, the crowd in the building seemed to have fun with it. It kind of got mixed reactions online. I was openly say I think it was a weak point. I don't think it was necessary. I thought it was going to lead to an angle of some kind, but it was just a performance. So I was like, wait a minute, this should lead to an angle of some description, but it didn't, which was unfortunate. But at least the girl looked nice. At least she got big titties. Ain't nobody mad at that. Of course, Trick and Mello is going to hang out with the chick with the big titties, right? She ain't got no charisma. I mean, she was dry as toast. What? Oh, whoa. The song is not even that bad. I like the bass and everything to the song. I didn't pay attention to any of the lyrics. I didn't pay attention to the song. Like, as soon as she started, I kind of walked away. Started doing something else. Like, I saw the titties already. I wasn't mesmerized by the titties. I was just kind of like, whoa. Shocked by the titties. I was like, whoa. NXT, man. They know just what... They really go in there with the sexy flexy stuff. And not just Toxic Attraction, but the guys, too. And now they got this chick that's popping up out of nowhere with her titties all out. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my God. All right. Back to business. Tony D'Angelo says that he's going to bust Cameron Grimes' face open, and he got a date with the North American title at Vengeance Day. This leads us to the main event. Cameron Grimes defeated Tony D'Angelo. This was a really good match. Pete Dunne appears, smashes Tony D'Angelo's hand with a cricket bat. This leads Tony D'Angelo to try to escape him by getting into the ring while selling his hand and getting stomped with the cave-in. 1, 2, 3. Cameron Grimes will be wrestling for the North American title at Vengeance Day. This is very good. Good way of getting Tony D'Angelo out of this conversation without him losing clean. He can have a third match, or was it? Yeah, it's the third match, right? With Pete Dunne, and this could be fun. You know, we continue in that thing, and Tony D'Angelo doesn't look like a chump from losing. So this was all very well done. So NXT from top to bottom, sexy flexy show with Toxic Attraction doing things with their hips, and Idris NFA doing things with his pecs, and Ali J doing things with her titties. We're just doing a lot of sexy stuff, and I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it at all. The matches made sense. Angles were pretty good. You know, the only thing I didn't care for was that silly in-ring performance. Could have used a little bit more Trickamello this week, but I understand not wanting to put them front and center every week. But otherwise, Santos Escobar was really good. Legado del Fantasma really killed it on this show. And the matches really delivered, you know. So, there that go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for your time. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.